Imagine being trapped inside a pitch-black, flooding cave with muddy water rapidly rising to your chest. Your life depends on a single choice: a wide, dry tunnel or a muddy, narrow crawl space. How can the specific language you speak determine whether you live or die? Today, we reveal why modern languages destroyed our natural compass. We have traded a profound, hardwired mental software for a fragile, self-centered illusion of direction. If you stood blindfolded in a dark, windowless room while a researcher spun you around 20 times, could you instantly point exactly north? For most of us, this is mathematically impossible. You might have heard of Billy Jack, a Guugu Yimithirr elder who scored 0 degrees of error under these exact conditions, or a Celtal speaker in Chiapas, Mexico, who did the same. But humans do not possess a secret biological magnetic compass in our tissues. In 1997, researcher Stephen C. Levinson discovered something much more profound: mental software. By relying on self-centered directions, like left and right, modern languages have dismantled our brain's natural relationship with the Earth's coordinates. To prove this spatial phenomenon was just a simple mental trick, easily replaced by modern technology, an anthropologist named Claire arrived in Hopevale, Queensland. Armed with a high-precision eye-tracking visor and a digital compass overlay app, Claire ignored her local guide, Roger, who warned her to set aside her gadgets and study the local absolute terms instead. To Claire, Western technology was always superior to tradition. She relied entirely on her GPS-calibrated visor, which projected a glowing neon blue compass ring directly onto her field of view, confident that digital data made ancient linguistic tools obsolete. In her research tent, Claire puts her theories to the test with a local elder. She blindfolds him, spins him, and points her camera at his face, searching for rapid eye movements, those tiny rhythmic eye adjustments some speculated might link to tracking magnetic north. But the screen shows nothing. There is no biological magnet in the elder's eyes. His calm demeanour shows he has spent a lifetime tracking things in his mind. In his 1997 study, Stephen Levinson found that Guugu Yimithirr speakers had an average orientation error of just 13.9 degrees in the deep bush, while Westerners missed by 90 degrees. Despite this stark contrast, Claire refuses to see that her own digital gear isolates her from the mental tools of the language. She remains convinced that physical coordinates are simply data points to be measured, ignoring the silent internal calculations occurring in the mind of the elder sitting before her. Claire's technological shield shatters the moment she ventures alone into the dense, towering eucalyptus forest. She leaves the safety of the camp to retrieve a misplaced tracking sensor, trusting her glowing visor to guide her. Suddenly, thick, wet season clouds roll in, completely blocking the sun. Without a clear view of the open sky, her high-precision GPS receiver loses its satellite connection. The neon blue visor flashes a harsh red signal lost warning, and the virtual compass lag throws off her entire sense of direction. Dense forest canopy transforms into an identical maze of grey tree trunks. She is suddenly stripped of her digital eyes, left with only her native, egocentric instincts. In this silent wilderness, words like left and right offer no anchor. She has no idea which way is north, and her reliance on external machines has left her completely blind. Claire tries to navigate back using her relative memory, deciding to make what she perceives as 90-degree right turns to bypass a wet, tangled mangrove swamp. This decision triggers a classic trap of human navigation, the compounding of relative spatial errors. Without stable visual landmarks, small mistakes in estimating your own body's physical turns multiply exponentially. She walks forward, carefully turning 90 degrees at every perceived corner to maintain a perfect grid. In reality, her actual path is a tragedy of human geometry. She believes she is walking in a straight grid, but her body is actually tracing a perfect 800-metre circle. She only realises her terrifying mistake when she stumbles upon her own discarded plastic water bottle lying in the dirt. Her modern spatial framework has literally trapped her in a closed, repetitive loop with no way to break free. Roger locates her using his absolute navigation, walking directly to her position without a single map. As they walk back, Claire notices Roger hesitates for a second before pointing west, using the word Gua. Intrigued, she dives into her research files back at the camp. She compares Roger's hesitation to a historic 1980 film by linguist John B. Haviland and a 1982 film by Stephen Levinson showing elder Jack Bambi, known as JB. JB recounted a terrifying boat capsize in shark-infested waters. On both occasions, facing completely opposite directions, JB pointed geographically east, using the word Naga with absolute physical precision. But Roger's generation is different. Bilingual education with English began in Hopevale in the 1970s, letting relative terms push absolute coordinate habits aside. Roger's small hesitation reveals a tragic cognitive shift. When relative syntax replaces absolute coordinates, our internal background tracking begins to degrade. A severe tropical storm strikes, sending a massive flash flood sweeping through the valley. They are forced to scramble deep inside a dark subterranean cave for safety. Trapped in pitch darkness with no celestial cues and muddy water rising rapidly, Roger's bilingual, English-influenced internal compass begins to falter under intense stress. Claire's digital equipment is completely dead, ruined by the muddy water. She realises she cannot rely on machines or her own relative instincts. To survive, she must step out of her role as a detached scientific observer. She pulls out her waterproof flashlight and uses it to sketch a large, crude cardinal coordinate grid directly into the wet clay on the cave floor. She begins prompting Roger to speak only in the absolute syntax of Guugu Yimithirr, forcing his mind to abandon the relative English terms that have slowly clouded his spatial awareness. By forcing Roger to abandon words like left or right and use only absolute terms like Naga, his subconscious background tracking system suddenly clicks. On the cave floor, the abstract coordinate grid becomes a map of survival. As the freezing water reaches their chests, they face a critical choice: a wide, dry passage sloping upward or a narrow, muddy crawl space. Claire's egocentric instincts scream at her to take the comfortable, wide passage. But Roger, his absolute spatial memory fully restored by the language, shakes his head. He insists the narrow crawl space leads east towards Naga, to the outer ridge, warning her that the wide passage leads straight into a flooded sinkhole. Claire lets go of her egocentric habits and follows Roger's tracking. They squeeze into the narrow, muddy eastern shaft, escaping just as a thunderous roar echoes behind them and the entire main cave system collapses. Standing on the rain-swept ridge, Claire realises our modern, self-centred languages are actually cognitive simplifications that isolate us from our planet's coordinates. But language's power over our minds goes far beyond geography. What happens when we look at cultures that have no words for numbers at all? Can you actually count without vocabulary?